Okay, can you guys hear? Testing, testing. I think I see it working. You guys can hear on YouTube? Yeah, I think so. You guys let me know when Brother Yusuf comes in. Okay.
He's here.
Oh, okay. Well, y'all let him know that he turn his camera on. Y'all know I can't see in the Zoom room, right? Y'all know I'm on here. I'm on the stream. Y'all got to help me out. Y'all know that, right? Because I can't see in there.
Yeah, I was cleaning quickly, but yeah, he's here.
Yeah, let him know that he can turn this when he comes in. He can turn his camera and stuff on. Because otherwise, they looking at me.
Yeah, the Maghrib prayer is like 7:54 now, so I was a little bit late.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay, because I'm always late, because I'm always set. It takes me 5 minutes or 10 minutes to set it up on the different platforms. Yeah. I just need them to let me know when you're ready and when you come in, so I can.
Yeah, probably next week I'll be here, because I mean it's moving up almost a minute every 2 days. I'll probably be here like at 8:03 or
that's
something
cool.
Next week.
That's cool. They just need to let me know.
Eventually we'll have to flicker the time, because Maghrib will end up being 8:35 come June, July, so we'll probably have to bump it up to 7:30 if that's possible.
I mean, that's okay. It's not the time. It's just they need to let me know, because I can't see in the Zoom. I'm streaming, and they need to talk. Let me know. They tell you to turn your camera. I can't tell you, oh, hi, and turn your camera on, because I'm looking at the people out in TV land. They see me.
So, I didn't know you couldn't see the Zoom room.
No, that's what I'm saying. I can't see the Zoom. All I see are the people, Weston, Margaret, all the people that's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, right. and I have to have the camera on so they can see that I'm streaming. So they see me. That's why I'm playing with my hijab and putting. That's why they need to talk in the Zoom and say, "Oh, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Yusuf, welcome." And you, Layla, turn your camera on, Sister Layla. They need to do that. Yeah. You guys see me though, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is.
Assalamu alaikum.
She's late as usual. Now they do it. Y'all like this hijab? By the way, this is one of the new hijabs we're selling. This is one of the ones that you make sure y'all go and buy it. Y'all see it? You like it? Yeah, put your order in. Okay, Brother Yusuf is here. Alhamdulillah, guys. I know some of you are finishing up your prayers too. I got to do my Maghrib. I haven't even prayed mine yet. But alhamdulillah, mine just came in. My Maghrib is just now coming in for me. And this is our Real Talk, the World in Review. And again, our Brother Yusuf is here to discuss the issues that impact us as an ummah today that's going on around the world, any global current events. If you guys have any questions or issues that you would like to talk about, feel free. You know, you can join our Zoom room at Sunnahfollowers.net and you ask questions, use the mic. We had a very good discussion last week with Brother Yusuf, and I did put a couple of shorts out, pretty good reviews on them and comments and all of that. And please make sure you share our shorts to your social platform. I want to get Brother Yusuf's work out there, because we need this here at Sunnahfollowers. We need to be aware of what's happening in the world that's impacting us as a nation. And his topics are really good. Yes, they are, as some of you are typing. So let's turn your camera on, Brother Yusuf, and let's go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to Brother Yusuf so he can get started. I'm going to put it on stereo, so I won't be talking, because I'm going to put it on stereo so y'all can hear him good. And, my video. There you go. And Brother Yusuf, you can go ahead and start off, inshallah.
Oh, okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Back again. Do mostly Q&A again today. It's a pretty good format. Lots of stuff going on in the world. When I left you guys last week, I was talking off and on, actually, last week, about the obvious game that these devils all of them, are playing on the world stage. And on last Friday, the markets were way up. The oil was way down because there was a deal. And I had told you guys that I didn't know, because obviously only Allah knows. I can only guess. I can only use pattern recognition and things like that they were going to keep playing this game for indefinitely. We don't even know where it's going to end. And immediately on Saturday, they did just that. They came out and said, oh, there's no deal. In fact, Iran was threatening, and here come the drums of war. And all week long, it's been topsy-turvy in the markets, billions of dollars lost. And of course, when billions of dollars are lost over here, billions of dollars are made over here, because they know what's going to happen. They know the announcements. They know them before they're going to come. They short the market if they're planning on dropping it, and they make profit off this, off companies going down. Imagine, we always hear how great capitalism is and the free market. But imagine a system where you allow guys to get billions of dollars betting on companies to fail. And that's exactly what happens in our system all the time. It's a constant battle. They call it bulls and bears, ups and downs, shorting and longing. And of course, you've got your traditional investors who hold through all of the fireworks for the long-term plan. But you see billions and billions of dollars changing hands on a daily basis because of shorting and longing the market. So they short the market. All weekend, it was like, oh, Monday's going to be a bloodbath. Monday's going to be a bloodbath. So you had all kinds of people that were shorting the market, believing this stuff. And of course, it didn't happen. Then the market did plummet when they weren't saying that it was. So all those people who were basically longing and then shorting again, it was just, again, back and forth all week long. They're having fun at the expense of the day traders and people's lives, to be honest. Now, if you're a day trader, it's gambling. I mean, to be honest, there's no lack of a better term for it. It's what it is. And you deserve everything you're going to get. We know gambling is haram. Now, if you're an investor, that's a little bit different. If you're betting on success and future prospects and businesses of a company or an idea that you believe in, that's not haram. I mean, that's halal. It's been going on since the dawn of time. Allah never condemned it. But when you're placing bets on, with no knowledge of companies dropping, their values are rising, I mean, this is pure gambling. I mean, it is haram. And anyone who's engaged in day trading gets exactly, in my opinion, what they deserve. And the Islamic view obviously gets exactly what they deserved. And expect more of this, because today is the last checked. They're talking about tomorrow. Envoys are on their way to Pakistan. There's going to be a big meeting, and there's going to be a resolution. I mean, don't be surprised if this lasts a couple of days, and then somehow Israel will attack Lebanon again, and then it's going to keep going. Because in the end of the day, the joke is on the common man, and they are just robbing the coffers blind. I mean, they're taking every bit of dollars they can from these day traders and enriching themselves. If you ever go back and look at modern history, particularly the last 150 years, when you see these people go to war with each other, when they actually do fight, it's never against each other. It's always the peasants fighting. Peasants fighting amongst each other for population control. You can go look at World War II when Hitler was dropping bombs on the UK, and they didn't hit the royal family, did they? I mean, of course they didn't. You never saw this, because at the end of the day, they're all in it together. And the butt of the joke is, again, on the common man, as it always has. And so if you don't get invested in this World War III, this perpetual propaganda, we're seeing it unfold. It is what it is. As I've highlighted here, and you're going to continue to see that as the weeks go on. Maybe they're going to stop it now because Trump needs to get some poll points up, and we'll see, the economy come back, and then they'll, like I said, Israel will attack Lebanon, or there'll be some other kind of staged psyop attack somewhere, and then you'll see it escalate again, and then the oil will go right back up, and they longed it right before they knew this was going to happen. They're going to make billions and rinse and repeat. And I just want to kind of open with that because that's what's happened in the last week since the last time I was with you guys when we talked about this, here on this platform. And then you see it unfolding the following week in real time. And you're probably going to see it again this week. So if you're a day trader and you're watching me now, it is haram. And you're basically playing with fire. You cannot trade against people who know the outcomes, who are manipulating. It's a rigged game. If you want to invest, be my guest. It's a great thing to do. I invest. But to day trade and try to play these games, More times than not, it was a stat I saw about 99% of day traders end up broke within a 20-year period. They don't last. It is impossible, no matter how much they study these charts and try to look at trends and patterns, unless you know the news. Before the news hits the mainstream populace, you're not going to win. Your every 5 trades you're going to win, you're going to lose one that's going to offset the gains of those 5 previous trades. So want to get that in mind. Now, as always, open forum. It is your show. Let's go to questions and discussions. So whoever wants to go first, I'm here.
Yeah, what interested me this week was Obama meeting with the governor of New York and going to the schools and singing and playing with the little teeny kindergarten kids. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
What aspect of that with Obama do you want to discuss?
It's like 2 grown adult men playing with little children. That's what I saw. I mean, what are they trying to accomplish?
Now, I didn't see this, but if anyone's familiar, Obama is very much a part of these guys. Obama's family, on the white side of his family's grandfather was a CIA operative. Everything about this man is fake. He was sold to the African-American populace and to liberal whites as being a unifier, as someone who was going to bring the country together and overcome the racist past. When you look into his past, I mean, you find nothing but devilish deeds, if you will. I remember when Obama first came in, I saw him coming a mile away, and 2 homosexual men were killed. You can find this information. I think it was 2007, right before he got in there. And they outed him because Obama was in a Chicago gay bathhouse. Now, for those of you, I don't want you to research what a homosexual bathhouse is unless you have no children around and you're just willing to find out about this, because it's not going to be pretty. But short story, moral version is a place where homosexual men go to meet each other in more ways than one. And it's a code in these bathhouses that you don't out the guy. So if you meet a guy there and you see him in public, you don't acknowledge that you know him. And these guys, they broke the bathhouse code on a man who was being groomed to be the president of the United States. And they met an untimely demise. One of them was a railroad accident, I recall. Telling at the top of my head, but I know one was a railroad accident. The other one was a suspicious homicide immediately after, this had happened. And we've seen the homosexual trajectory of Barack Obama throughout his entire political career. When he ran the first 4 years, he said, no, I'm not going to touch that issue. And I was living in Saudi at the time, and I was doing a lecture, a seminar for an oil company in Saudi Arabia. And I was paired off with a man who I didn't know at the time was openly gay. And he had told me that, his husband. And I remember I said to him, well, you mean in name only, word only, And he said, no, we're legally married. Obama has passed this, allowed that to get through. And I didn't know about this. I was kind of detached from American news for the first few years I lived in Saudi Arabia. And it was like, okay, here he did it. And his final 4 years were all about the homosexual agenda. It's like the African-American community thought that he was going to be their champion. And when he got in, they saw otherwise. They saw it was more of a champion of homosexual rights and the gay agenda, as well as, of course, the men behind the curtain who all these guys champion. We found recently with Obama, the cook that worked with him was found dead mysteriously. And not to speculate, but there's a lot of rumors, again, tying it to that, to there was a homosexual relationship. People have come out who knew him when he was younger and have said, well, we knew him as the gay kid in high school. If you've seen pictures of him when he was in his early 20s, he's sitting on one famous one. He's on the couch with a obvious homosexual man, and both are posing in a very feminine, manner, needless to say. So when I see him around children, I always have a red flag goes off. I did not see what you're talking about, sister, but again, it's not surprising. These men in politics, if you studied it briefly even, the homosexual involvement is just something that most people could not even fathom. I remember when George Bush was in the White House, He was one of those banquet dinners or whatever, and there was a homosexual porn star that had attended one of these banquets, and George Bush is like, "Oh, hey, you know," and you could tell the facial expression that he knew this man. And I remember saying to my friend who was sitting next to me as we were watching this, I said, "How do you know him, unless you're familiar with his work?" I didn't know who he was, obviously. I had no clue. It was later on when people said, "Oh, this is an open homosexual pornographer." And George Bush knew who he was. We've got a representative here in the state of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, who is known in circles, has been engaging in these type of things. So homosexuality in the elite has been something has been swept under the rug for a long time, but it's coming out. You're finding the vast majority. Trump wanted to be the exception to the rule. There's never been any allegations against Donald Trump or Bill Clinton for that matter. But we've seen it with so many politicians, young boys, young girls, as we see with Epstein, and of course, men, openly. So I'd have to see what you're talking about. But anytime I do hear something like that, the red flag does go off. And the fact that Obama is partnering up with that guy, who we've covered him on this platform a few weeks ago, is not surprising. I mean, it's two peas in a pod, as the old saying goes. Two agenda-driven socialists. In front of the camera, they're socialists. Obviously, behind the scenes, they're elite. And they're here to take that demographic I talked about. They want to destroy the people in that 200, 300K income range up to the early millions and bring them down to the lower middle class and destroy that middle ground where that upward mobility might be able to happen. They want to make sure that it never happens, that you have a pure elite and then you have everybody else, down here who's not controlled. And that's where, that's exactly what this socialism is. They sell it as they care about you. They care about your children and the education and the family. We know good and damn well that it's not that at all. I mean, Zohran Mamdani has 40 million in a bank account in India. I mean, he's not poor. There were some questions coming through. I cannot read them. I just saw the bubbles popping up at the bottom of my screen. If anyone wants to read any of those, I'll gladly answer them.
Yeah, I'll read them for you as they come up.
Oh, thank you, sister.
And here's one. U.S. News. Trump backs activists calling India, China, hellholes and immigration's row.
Yes, I did hear that. And for him to say about China, that's a little bit different. China is much more technologically advanced than us. And you can go look at Chinese cities and see that's a lie. I mean, the Chinese they're putting it down over there. They're not boggled down by feeding the world and illegal immigrants and all the thieving politicians and stuff that goes on here in the West. They're building cities that look like Star Wars or something you'd see in a sci-fi movie. Now, the whole thing about India has come up a lot, recently. I have a lot of experience understanding that culture from living in the Gulf because they're everywhere over there. And, when he says, granted, a statesman shouldn't use those words, but the state of India, it is what it is. For anyone to have gone there or to seen the quality of life in India and not think something negative, they're just lying, to be honest. And when they come to this country, they bring a lot of those behaviors and habits with them. You don't find them assimilating. It's a dominant Hindu culture. So obviously in Islam, we have our issues with the polytheism and the outright blasphemous. You'll see Indian Hindus praying to Donald Trump. And there's pictures. You can Google them online, and I'm not lying. There are literally pictures of Indians on their knees in a sujood position to statues of Donald Trump. They were trying to harness his strength through the idol. India reads of everything when you look at Jahiliyyah, in the Islamic period of time. It is like 360 idols in the Kaaba. They've got idol for everything. There was one clip I saw of India. A British man was on tour and he was walking down the road and there was a piece of plastic with tinfoil on it with thumbtacks or something. And they said this is a sacred object. And that when he came to the area, he must show respect for this, whatever this thing was, this idol. You see them praying to monkeys. to elephants, to men, to genitalia. And for all of you guys, again, who think that sounds a bit odd, you're more than willing to Google it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So spiritually, India is a hellhole. In terms of physically, I mean, their government is so corrupt. It's filthy. They have no system to manage the garbage. We all know this. For anyone to deny that, but again, a president of the United States has to be a little bit more careful, with his words. You're looking for constructive, criticism of certain behaviors, but definitely, and anyone who's been to India knows exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, it is getting food poisoning is common. And you look at the most 6 or 7 top filthiest cities by all metrics. We're talking about air pollution, water pollution, garbage, sanitation. I mean, they're number 1 to 6, basically. They are up there. And a lot of the other Hinduism, rituals, the worshiping of the cow and, eating cow feces and things like that is also quite common, over there as well. It's a walking germ factory. And the Indian Muslims who are over there obviously do not want to be there. I mean, they're mistreated. You can go and look that one up as well and see how the Muslims in India are treated, because you've got Hindus all over Muslim countries in the Gulf. And you don't see persecution of Hindus. In Bahrain, I lived there. They had Hindu temples even allowed in Muslim land in Bahrain and UAE. Hindus, they don't have temples in Saudi Arabia, but they are openly Hindu. And I never heard of an attack or a persecution, but we're always portrayed as the bad guy by the media. It's like, you can't live with Muslims. They persecute all minorities. But yet, if you go to Muslim countries, you see really the opposite. We are very tolerant. But you go and see how Muslims are treated in India. It is completely different. So, very choice, unprofessional language by the president, but there's always some truth in some things that he says.
MashaAllah, that's true. Also, the Post alleged there's a disproportionate hiring of Indians in Chinese and California tech sectors without any evidence. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's this is what I was kind of talking about a few weeks ago with Zohran about what is happening to the ummah, is that a lot of these cultures are extremely tribalistic. When I grew up, we had a lot of Indian kids, not a lot, but there was a few Indian kids in my grade level. And they were just like us. They were American. They were normal. You didn't feel any racism from them towards us, or us towards them for that matter. But what is happening as more and more are being brought in under these H-1B programs is that you let one in. In Saudi Arabia, when I was there, they had recognized this as well, that they are extremely tribalistic. It's family first, you could say city second, and then race third when it comes to that. I mean, an Indian guy will hire a deaf mute, if he's Indian or from his clan or circle of friends or family for a job over any European American, any African American, no matter the qualifications. And we see this time and time again in the tech sec. You let 1 or 2 of them get in there, they get these HR positions, and then bang, all across the board, it's 100%. And it's pure racism. And I've said on this platform before, I'm not concerned if someone don't like me because I happen to be European American. They're entitled to that view. If somebody doesn't like someone because they're African American, they're entitled to that view. But the second you start denying someone happiness or pursuit of their destiny or dreams because of that, then it's a major problem. And you have to have, the state has to intervene. And we have anti-discrimination laws in this country for such things. You don't have a person who's white, who's racist, hiring only whites, or a person who's African American, who's racist, hiring only African Americans. It's not what America's about. It's best man for the job. And we're seeing the opposite when we're bringing in a lot of these tribal cultures. These are people that are for their group first. And the Indians are a big, big culprit in this. And you're seeing the Arabs as well, who are coming in recently, are also doing this. I talked about it in the masjids, how the masjid boards, anyone who's been to a masjid in this country has seen this. And if they're not, they're turning a blind eye to it. That the dominant ethnic group in that particular community is going to rule the board. It's probably going to be the imam as well. It's going to be the president, the vice president. And they'll sprinkle a couple of non of that nationality into certain lower level positions, like they did in the masjid for my city, and try to cover it up. But we know exactly where the power lies. And we as the ummah, we have enough problems right now globally to have this to be our own enemies as well. It's a major issue. And none of these Muslim influencers will touch it at all. They turn a blind eye to all of it. And it's unfortunate. And it's going to perpetuate in all aspects, business, religion, everywhere. And it's something we have to have those conversations where they may be uncomfortable for some, because the first thing those people are going to tell you, oh, no, we're not like that. But yet you see by the evidence of the deeds that they are like that. They are doing that. And it says that business, religion, it's everywhere, unfortunately, now, this kind of tribalism that we're seeing in the ummah and all over America.
So there's a local media report in England. People are advertising Muslim-only apartments online.
Mm-hmm.
There's an investigation. There's an investigation by the Telegraph found that alleged listings posted in London on Facebook. And of course, Gumtree and Telegram features phrases such as only for Muslims, for 2 Muslim boys or 2 Muslim girls, and Muslims preferred. Have you ever heard anything about that?
I'm not surprised. England, if you go look at the leadership of the Muslim community in England, I mean, it's got MI5, MI6, CIA written all over it. They are creating divide in there in the way they're acting. The British people are not innocent, obviously. They're following what people like Tommy Robinson are there, who's a Zionist operative, who are whipping up hate, blaming Muslims for deeds of people that aren't even Muslims. I mean, Tommy Robinson will go there and talk about the rapes, and any person who is non-English, he calls them a Muslim automatically. So you already get this whipping up of tension and hate, and you got the Muslims are doing everything they can to contribute to that as well. It's on both sides. And again, we have to understand the totality, the picture. We can't come into somebody else's country. If you're someone from Egypt or Morocco and demand that you have certain buildings only for you. Now you create a religious school, that's different. The Jews are allowed to do it. You see in Switzerland, not Switzerland, but Sweden, they allow Jewish-only schools, but they don't allow Islamic or Christian-only schools. Religious school is something different. That's free choice in education. But when we start trying to say this neighborhood is ours or this neighborhood is theirs, when you start doing things like that, all you're doing is balkanizing the country. And the powers that be, they want a civil war. And I've covered that a lot here over the last 2 years of my work. Did one called Sources of Islamophobia a few years ago. We're highlighting the characters in this sad comedy where you see it's on both sides. I mean, these Muslim imams are saying the most wretched of things. You got people like Muhammad Hijab whipping up racial hatred against the ethnic British. And on the other side, you've got the ethnic British have people like Tommy Robinson, who are going out there and if it rains tomorrow, it's the fault of Islam. Guys that aren't even Muslim. Oh, look, Muslims are raping again over here. And even if a Muslim is raping, that's not what the religion says to do. But Tommy Robinson will frame it in such a way that, it's in the Quran, go rape all the infidels. And it's funny for anyone who truly knows the religion, but people over there who don't, they take this stuff as the facts. It's like they unquestionably, oh, they are here to do this. They're here to kill our daughters or to kill our wives and rape our daughters and all these things. And instead of having dialogue, we are seeing just more and more of a movement for having separation instead of a peaceful coexistence. So it's not surprising you're starting to see stuff like that.
SubhanAllah, as you said, it's discrimination for sure. Yeah. Kash Patel was in the news this week a lot. What do you think about that?
What did he? I had a busy week in the office. What exactly?
Oh, he said he's suing a newspaper for posting that he's a drunkard. He don't come to work on time. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do. And he really got into a shouting match with those that had him on trial this week. So it's just, Kash Patel. I never trust him.
Oh,
I never
absolutely
kind of liked him. Yeah, I never liked him. Subhanallah.
Well, again, evil doesn't work with good.
That's true.
So, if you've got someone who's connected to these demonic entities, these clowns up there in DC, and this guy, I didn't even know who he was until the whole thing with Trump and the election against Biden back in 2020. And there's this movement among conservatives, the QAnon movement. It's based off a psyop that was done in Russia during the communist Bolshevik takeover. Basically, the psyop works like this, is that Trump and all these guys, Kash Patel was one of them, they're a secret group. They call them the White Hats. They are people who are fighting for the force of good. And everything that happened is part of a military operation. And Donald Trump is here to liberate humanity. Because they understood before this that the people were waking up. They were seeing how evil their leaders were. The Epstein stuff, the taxation, the inflation, the crazy spending, the money laundering, the cost of living crisis, the COVID-19 hoax, the moon landing hoax, the JFK murder, 9/11, 7/11 in the UK. I mean, it goes on and on and on. People were waking up. And they needed to do something. So they cooked up this idea through a random poster in blogs who went by the name of Q, that he had inside connection to this. And he understood that Donald Trump, and there were even people that said Donald Trump was sent by Jesus. I mean, we're talking about Christians here, obviously not Muslims, but Donald Trump is a Christ-like figure. I even had a neighbor tell me that Donald Trump was in the Bible. And I didn't want to argue with the guy. He was an older man. I didn't want to offend him because I would have literally slaughtered him in the debate. I mean, it wouldn't have even been close. But he had claimed that Donald Trump was spoken about in the Bible and that he's biblical prophecy and, maybe the Antichrist, but and then the Christian sources, but not obviously what he thought. But this was kind of what was going on. And this was a big, big movement on the internet. In fact, when Biden came in, to make this movement look real, what they always do, and this is one of the things I want you guys to watch out for, when they ban somebody, they're not going to ban somebody and then announce it. Because if you ban somebody and you announce it, what does that do? That gives credibility to the person. When they want to ban somebody, what they do is they turn off the algorithms on you. So nobody ever even hears you. That way you don't get any press. Anytime you see in the media they're trying to ban somebody, it's like they let you know, hey, look, we're banning this guy. Did we tell you again? We're banning this guy. And that gives that person heat. And that gives the audience the impression of, well, he's got to be telling the truth. So when Joe Biden came in, Twitter, before it was owned by Musk, they banned all these QAnon guys. They kicked them all off. They then migrated to a platform called Gab. And they continued to post over there. They post daily updates that Trump is going to come back. I mean, there was people that were saying Biden was going to be arrested on national television. There are people that said Biden was executed by Trump and these guys back in 2017. And the Biden in front of the camera is this actor, if you will, that Obama was executed for treason back in 2016. And it just got more and more bizarre. And then Kash Patel was one of these guys. Kash Patel was this huge freedom fighter that was coming to save us as well. And you see with what you're describing this gentleman did is exactly what all of them do. All these positions are just pats on the back, scratches on the back. You did a favor for me. I'm going to give you a job where you don't have to do anything. I mean, who wouldn't want that gig? A job where you can show up when you want. You can be drunk till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You're going to make 6 figures. Plus, you're going to have stock tips that are going to make you 7 figures. See Nancy Pelosi, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, generally any of these people. And you're going to be extremely wealthy. And it's all going to be paid for by the taxpayer. The joke is always on us, isn't it? And hearing these things, again, is not surprising. I mean, he just looks like a crook. I'm a firm believer that Allah puts that look on people as a sign of the righteous and who you're dealing with, where you can just look at somebody and you feel dirty when you look at them or you touch them or you're in the room with them or close proximity to them and you see their face and it just exudes nothing but falsehood and filth. And I always got that view, from him. But for those of you interested, it was called the QAnon movement. And these people have pretty much died out because Donald Trump got in He did nothing but give favors to corporations for almost 2 years now. So I think that they're having a difficult time reconciling this, that nothing they said was going to come to pass has come to pass. In fact, people's lives have continued to get worse, not better. The rent has not gone down. The grocery prices are higher than ever. The utility bills are up. The biggest thing Trump did in the last few weeks wasn't the Iran war. It was what he did with the tariffs. And I believe, and again, can't prove it, but it's speculative, that they knew this from the beginning, that the Supreme Court was going to strike down those tariffs. So we paid the tariff prices for the goods. The company didn't incur, these corporations, they didn't incur any losses for this. They made the same amount of profits, and then they got their money back. He gave them all the money back. So we are the ones, as usual, that got the short end of the stick. We had to pay the higher cost for goods. These guys made the profit off selling the goods for higher price, knowing they were going to get it all refunded back. This is one of the most treacherous, spitting in the face of the American people acts I think I can remember in recent times. This is hardly someone who is a biblical figure, as they believe, or a deliverer of any sort,
Anybody else on Zoom got any questions? Any
Um,
concerns? Go
I
ahead.
might have a concern and a question at the same time.
Go right ahead.
Recently,
Well, somebody was playing the audio.
It was. She'll stop. Go ahead, Sabrina.
one of the things I was curious about, I'd like to comment on, is recently I've been hearing a lot of Muslim brothers who are talking about some of the same very issues that are being discussed today, but they are more like, let's get out there and protest. Let's get out there and do this, which, if you know anything about the past histories, we know that these carrying picket signs and protesting on the streets, and that these things are not going to work to make a change in America.
Absolutely correct. 100% correct. 100% correct. We have evidence of hundreds and hundreds of cases of this. People protesting and nothing changes. We saw it during the COVID hoax and the lockdowns all over Europe. People were protesting, hundreds of thousands showing up against the lockdowns, yet they continued. We've seen it against Vietnam. We saw it, against George Bush and the two wars in the Gulf, or the Afghanistan and Iraq. We've seen it, recent times with the Occupy Wall Street movements. Protesting is it's like a drug. It's like something that you tell somebody to do to get them there, to get their mind focused on something, so they think they're getting something accomplished, just to divert their energy away from where it needs to be, because it doesn't do a thing. It literally does nothing. It accomplishes nothing. We had an imam that was on Twitter today. I saw it. There was an imam telling people that giving money to politicians is zakah. This is beyond disgusting. That you're calling zakah to give money to a Democratic politician, because that's who that Muslim imam is, obviously. As I laid it out, 95% of the Muslims in New York voted for a far left liberal. 95%. Some said 90, but 90 is bad. 95%, just slightly worse. It doesn't really matter, does it, when you have numbers that high? So you know who the imam is encouraging the people in his masjid to vote for. He's encouraging them to vote for a party that openly advocates for murdering babies. The Democratic Party wants to kill the babies when they're already born. They said there's no problem with that. If the mother doesn't want it and it's right here in her arms, they can go ahead and terminate it. They're openly promoting homosexuality. They're promoting racism and division. And this is, again, who these imams are. And he says it's zakah. This is an act of zakah to give these people your money. So when you hear somebody encouraging protesting, they're one of two people. They're typically an older person who still wants to believe in the ideals, right to protest, freedom of speech, and their heart's in the right place. They want to believe it works. They're misinformed. But the vast majority of them, it's a way of diverting your attention. They don't want to talk about how to really solve problems, how to pool resources together as a community to really build economic power and influence the correct way, the Islamic way. They want you to participate in a system where the game is rigged. The game is rigged. It doesn't matter how much you vote. The agenda will stay the same. It always does. We've got hundreds of years to go back and see the agenda has not changed. Has the agenda in the United States changed its stance toward the state of Israel in any of our lifetimes going before that? Has that agenda ever changed? Has the inflation bank system destroying our currency, raising our standard of living, has that ever changed in the last 120 years? I think we know the answers to that. Has the war agenda ever changed in the last 120 years? Has the taxation ever changed? Yeah, it's changed. It's gotten more. It hasn't gotten less. So, I mean, you see voting and voting and voting. This is the definition of insanity. You're repeating the same behaviors that got you a result before 10 times, expecting the 11th is going to be different. And they're taking your energy. They're stealing your time. It accomplishes nothing. Go vote for Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani is not going to accomplish anything that he wasn't told he was going to accomplish. It's all been scripted, planned out long ago. And again, they know now that people don't trust the system. And they're trying to do things they can to maybe give us a little bone here and there to get us happy again. But the damage has been done. It's pretty clear for anybody with a pair of eyes and half a brain where this agenda is going to continue. You'll probably see a Democrat, God forbid, to be worse than it is now, coming up in 2028. The agenda will stay the same. Israel will still get the money. You're still going to see your taxes are going to go up. Your inflation is going to be worse. The cost of living is going to go up. You know, nothing's going to change. And then they'll say, well, oh, the next 4 years we'll get him out, put another guy in who will change. Just today I saw on the news as I got done eating dinner. I just had it all and I hadn't changed the channel off of it yet. There was an anchor, you know, on there talking about how people are so frustrated with Trump and the current regime because their life has not gotten better. And instead of saying, okay, wait a minute, maybe the system is designed to make my life get worse, they say, no, I got to vote for the Democrat. They'll make it better. You just got done with 4 years of that. And we had the worst drop in the quality of our life in my lifetime. From 2000 to 2024 was the worst drop in my lifetime that I've ever seen in terms of the cost of things, the rent, the food. You just went and played that, tune. You saw the results of it. And then you get Trump and you're going to see the same thing, not as bad, but it's still going on. And you're going to go vote for the original party again and put them back in there. I didn't expect it's going to be any different. It's not going to be any different. It's like we have to detach ourselves from the system, not be a part of it. And these people, you said brothers out there encouraging this, it's just stealing time. It's accomplishing zero.
Yes, that's true. I agree. Thank you. I agree.
Just like our care sister, no problem.
Okay. Here's another question from Brother Yusuf. Brother, is it true that the New York police won't catch the thief if he is stealing certain amounts?
Unfortunately, that's when I talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Zohran Mamdani. I had highlighted the Democratic agenda. Because to understand, go back to the previous point, tie that into this, to know the game is to know that the Democratic Party is where the elite wants to take us. The Republicans only exist to make you believe someone is fighting against it. Someone is slowing it down. And that's all that's happening, is that they know if they go from here to here in one leap, people might do something. They might riot. You might have an uprising. So they do what they call the totalitarian tiptoe. You just step by step by step. Sometimes you take a step back, two more, one back, two more, one back. And part of that Democratic Party agenda is soft on crime. They want absolute chaos and total anarchy in our streets. New York has already introduced no cash bail, which has led to dudes being arrested 35, 36, 40 times, and they're still on the streets. Now they're saying, oh, well, if he's stealing, we can't prosecute him. His daddy was not there. He grew up poor, so he had to steal $200 pair of Nikes. No problem. These people were never stealing food, by the way. When you look at most shoplifting, it's never food. Unfortunately, I worked in Walmart in my early 20s, and I saw firsthand what was being stolen there. It was never food. We had one person for every 100 that were stealing luxury items from the store, were stealing food. So the whole line that the liberals will use is, oh, these are poor people that are trying to feed their family. No, it's not. It's an obsession with consumerism and luxury goods and wanting something for nothing. And now don't even charge them. California's already been doing this. There was a guy in California who had a creative way. I think they set it at $900. So if something was not worth $900, they would not prosecute the shoplifter. So what the guy did was he put all items in his store for $900. And then when you went to the register, he gave you a coupon that brought it down to the original the price that he wanted to sell it for. That way, if you stole it off his shelves, he could prosecute you. And they come after him. You know, it's just like how insane this is. And if someone is voting for a Democrat, if you're going to participate in this election system and you're voting for a Democrat, you almost deserve every single thing that they're going to do to you. You deserve the higher taxes. You deserve the thief. They're now in Canada. They say if the guy breaks in your house, you should make him a cup of tea, basically. There was a man who shot a thief that came into his house and they're charging him. What is he supposed to do? Just hand him everything and just say, sir, you can have what's mine is yours, you know? It's absolute insanity. They're going to take the guns. That's their plan. Once they take the guns, they disarm the law-abiding citizens, and then you're going to be at the mercy of the criminal. The grocery stores now are at the mercy of the criminal. And again, this trickles that price to us, because the more those people are getting stolen from, the more they're going to raise the price to offset their shrink, as they call it, their loss. And they're going to put it right back on us. No Muslim should be soft on crime. It's anti-Islam, for one. We have very strict rules on theft. And it's one of the things that the Christians and the atheists, they always go after Islam on, is, oh, you guys are too harsh, you know, on the thief. But then you see the alternative, because eventually it's going to lead there, where you're going to have no law and order. And blue states right now, there's massive exodus. People are leaving them. You know, California, they were net. I mean, their electoral college points went down. I mean, outside of illegals, nobody's going to California. New York is having massive amounts. They're all over my city now. I mean, I walk in the neighborhood for an afternoon exercise. I hear nothing but New York and New Jersey accents. It's like these people have ran away from the mess they've allowed to grow. And now the state of Virginia, what they did this past week is when the Democrats get power, they don't give it up, because there's going to be so much corruption. Like in Virginia, what they did is a typical trick of the Democratic Party is they wait for all the votes to be counted in the counties they know don't agree with them or not going to go along with the agenda. And they wait to the 1 or 2 cities. They hold the votes. They don't release any percent, like 0%. Okay, we need 1 million. Boom, all of a sudden they got 1.1. And that's exactly what they did in Virginia. That's exactly what they do in any election where they control the state house. Once you allow them to get their hooks in there, it's never going away. You're going to have California, where you're going to have perpetual rule. New York, Minnesota, where 1 or 2 cities controls the entire state. The rest of the people's votes literally do not matter. They're going to rig it. They're going to find out how much they need. They're going to duplicate the ballots. So they're going to get away with it, because they always get away with it. So yeah, that's what he's hearing is true. New York is on a road to hell, and it couldn't happen fast enough. I mean, it's really, to be honest, deserved. Those people have lived in a bubble for a long time, and they've allowed this stuff to grow and fester, and it's just going to destroy that state.
On that question, I have a question regarding that. Like, do you think it's better to have a surveillance camera like in China? Like they can see everything on about you, like in the streets, and like they have too much surveillance camera on the streets. Like they can check it, and there is a low crime in China also. Like in my country, like we have high crimes. Like, do you think it's better to have surveillance camera?
Well, the thing is, I was always against that for the longest part of my life because I don't feel that the law-abiding citizens should be, surveillance, like having surveillance on them like that. But it's like Dubai has it, UAE has cameras everywhere, no crime. It's getting to the point now that the Democrats are never going to go for it because, like I said, they want this lawlessness. But it's something that is being discussed. I mean, if we had tough punishments again, where people actually feared the justice system, they don't fear it at all. I've talked to people. They said jail wasn't that bad because jail really isn't that bad. If you're a criminal and you go to jail, you're getting 3 meals. You get to watch the sports games. They're all there. They get TV. They got PlayStations now in the jails. They got basketball courts. They got weight rooms. I mean, so if you don't care about being married or having a wife or being with a woman, jail's not going to be too bad for you in this country. There's no fear for these guys to go to prison. If we put the Sharia law or a similar system as the Sharia law in America, you'd watch the crime go down in a heartbeat. I mean, it'd be over. If you knew that the hand would be amputated, if you were stealing luxury items, obviously there's exceptions in the application of the Sharia, as we can see from the Hadith, but you would see a fear spreading across these people, and the crime would drop instantly. We've got about, in this country, it's about 3% of the people are committing all the crime. The vast majority of Americans are law-abiding Americans. It's a small percentage that we can't get rid of. We're just not allowed to get rid of them. But I do think, to answer your question, is that the cameras are coming more and more. You already got them in the banks. You got them in the shopping malls. We'll start seeing them in the streets, light posts, all these things. And it didn't have to come to that because now with AI, I mean, I'm concerned, to be honest, with technology that now they let us know they have. How long have they had it? A long time. And you could put somebody's face on a crime easily with this technology and frame them, and they'll get away with it. And that is frightening. It really is. But China, no crime. El Salvador locked up the gang members, made jail hell on earth. Basically, no crime. UAE, tough punishment, surveillance, fines for everything, no crime. America, no punishments, nothing but crime. Always Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And all the liberals who have cursed religion, cursed Islam, called it draconian, totalitarian, all kinds of names. At the end of the day, look what happens when there's no Islam. Absolute anarchy and chaos and madness.
It's same over here. I live in Karachi, Pakistan. Like it's same over here. We do have a high crime rate. The reason I ask because if you take someone hard-earned money, it pains him. Like he want to be safe. That's the reason I was asking you.
So crime is high in Pakistan now?
Yeah, in Karachi, yeah.
Okay. And they don't apply the Sharia in Pakistan anymore, do they?
No.
Yeah.
They get it easily. Corruption is true.
And it's, when I talk about coordination across the leadership of these countries, all these leaders are in bed with each other. Countries that used to be safe, like I always had an image of Pakistan as being reasonably safe from the old days, from people I talked to who lived there. But again, as you're saying now, it's changing. It's the criminals are emboldened. And it's what the elite want because they live in gated communities with guys with machine guns behind the gates. They could care less, what happens to us. Because the more the crime gets worse, the more the people are going to beg them. They're going to get on their knees and they're going to say, fix this. And they're going to say, you know how we're going to fix this? We're going to put you in a 15-minute city. And we're going to control your car. We're going to know where your car is. We're going to have tracking on you. We're going to put chips in your hands. That way, no one can commit a crime because you got a chip in your hand. We'll know exactly who was in that store at that moment in time. We're going to know exactly you were in that house when that person died at that particular moment in time. So the people will eventually beg. And of course, they have the solution, as they always do. You'll see, okay, yeah, put that chip in here. and we'll eliminate that problem for you. And the people will say, oh, that's a great idea. Please put it in me. Save us from this. When the solutions are easy.
MashaAllah. And you know, in Bradley County and Clinch County in Georgia, they're having wildfires out there. Have you heard that this week? They have wildfires so bad that the smoke is hovering around Atlanta, Georgia, right in the main cities. It's terrible.
And, you know, there's been, I'm sure Georgia is the same. We've had a big drought here. It has not rained. And there's the old saying, April showers bring May flowers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala built the creation to have a rhythm and a flow to it. You have your pollinations in March, and then the winds, as the Quran says, Allah sends the fertilizing winds. Hidden wisdom there, that those winds are blowing that pollen around and growing the vegetation. And then the showers come in to get them up, to get them to grow. And this April, we've had no rain. And they're playing with the weather. I mean, everyone knows that at this point now. I mean, you can't go a day here without seeing the chemtrails in the skies. And everything is drying up. And I believe they're going to use food as a weapon. Inshallah, Allah will have a plan for that one. But that's one of the things it seems like they're trying to do, is induce droughts and things like this. But they're definitely cloud seeding. They're definitely controlling the weather, how much precipitation or lack thereof we're getting. When I grew up, you saw no chemtrails in the sky. None. I read about them before I saw them. I was hearing about these things in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I was like, well, I never see that in my town. I mean, are these people lying that I'm seeing these things for the first time? And then sure enough, maybe about a week later, I started seeing them popping up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I grew up. And then when I moved to the Gulf and I came back, it was like daily. I was seeing these things. When I drive home, I'm seeing them. And then you started seeing them in the big cities only. Now you're seeing them out in the country areas. Like where my workplace is located is a very small town in the country, as we call it here in America, out in the sticks, if you will. And they have chemtrails out there. You can see them in the sky. It is something that is going on everywhere at this point. Dubai has been doing it. That's why you see all these kind of unnatural floods and things that have happened where it gets out of control. They're trying to play God, on us. And anytime you try to do that, there's going to be some consequences.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. There are no other questions, brother. You have nothing else to add, Brother Yusuf? We can close out. If you have nothing else to add.
Thank everybody for coming, and the active participation is always good because really we get different perspectives. We've got a brother here from Pakistan to add to this. We have people from the U.S. to add to this. Sharing stories of experiences. We can see how all this stuff ties in. Every country is going down the same path. If I talk to that brother from Pakistan about how the women are changing, I guarantee it'll match what's happening here in Pakistan. It's like everything is becoming a carbon copy of everyone else. They are making war on culture, and they're making a war on our way of life. They want a world where everyone has no culture. Your culture is Disney. Your culture is the movies. Your culture is their corporate products. Now we got these young men, they call themselves looks maxers. And they go around, they smash their face with a little mini hammer to file off their bones. They're taking steroids and methamphetamines at the ages of 16 and 17. They're wearing makeup now. This is a big thing. Among young men wearing eyeliner and wearing makeup, shaving their beards and getting laser surgery so their facial hair doesn't grow anymore, taking steroids and crystal meth to make sure they maintain a lean body because they're saying this is the only way they can get a woman. It's a huge culture now that's in social media. You see what's happening with the women. We've talked about that here many times with OnlyFans. And then you go to country by country. You will see the agenda is exactly the same. You see Saudi females and males behaving the exact same way now that you see males behaving in San Francisco or California or the UK or Japan. This is a global agenda. And every week we're here to pick it apart piece by piece and bring some clarity for it, to make sense of the madness. And I thank you guys from the sincerity at the bottom of my heart for attending and participating. And we're going to continue to do this. We're doing the law's work, here and waking people up. And we're on the good side of history. We're not the bad guys that the media wants to portray us as. And that's for the non-Muslims who may be watching to know that as well.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair.